Hello everyone! At the dawn of my YouTube channel 3 long years ago, I already talked in one of my videos about a tall, warm garden bed that I made from leftover paving tiles. In general, beds of this type are called warm because their proper functioning is based on the process of decomposing coarse and fine organic matter, which generates a large amount of heat. Notice how much freshly cut grass heats up 70 degrees, and that's no joke. If the gas suddenly gets turned off, you could even cook hot meals in it. And in my warm garden bed, I decided to use something else as well, specifically the property of stone to accumulate solar heat during the day and release it on cool nights. I think many have noticed that vegetation near large stones grows much more vigorously. This is exactly the reason. In our flat region, natural stones are hard to come by, so I decided to replace them with artificial stones. Paving slabs can be used for this purpose. At that time, I also aimed to use up the extra ones, as it was a shame to throw them away, and there was already enough pavement. Fortunately, I didn't need to build any barricades. A revolution doesn't threaten us. Politically, all is calm as usual. Dictatorship is our brand. The effect exceeded all expectations. What is the climate like in my native Belarus, which was recently called the country of evergreen tomatoes? But times are changing, and I'm breaking the stereotype that we Belarusians only eat potatoes. Not just potatoes, we also eat burachok, which is beetroot in Russian, carrots, and pumpkins. So when the services of our brotherly neighbor suddenly impose an embargo, depriving their citizens of a wonderful delicacy. And with warm garden beds, we can really expand our diet. My wife did a great job and didn't let me stop at just one. She insisted that the next one be made from leftover red bricks, and last year, a bed from leftover white bricks. So, with the main goal of sharing a well-proven method with even more gardeners, and also to provide information about the adjustments made over the years, I invite you to watch a new video. In other words, an improved approach. In my previous garden beds, I dug too deep, which caused a lot of valuable coarse and fine organic matter to be lost. You can't spoil porridge with butter. But rational use of garden resources is still important, but a sacred place is never empty. In our case, the deported mole's home was taken over by the brazen mice. The moles only dug tunnels, but the mice went completely out of control. Now they raid the vegetables on the surface frequently. When you finally lie down to sunbathe, you're amazed at their audacity. The burrow's depth and warmth also offer an advantage. Mice passing by in fall and winter don't attempt to enter the house. This tile or brick laying method has proven surprisingly effective. I picked it up from some American video. That's how they made a flower bed, no mortar at all. The gravitational principle is applied. The earth, being more massive, attracts the less massive brick. I don't think this is an American know-how like Tesla and SpaceX by Elon Musk. In this case, everything stands quite firmly. In general, creating a new warm garden bed can be perfectly combined with tidying up the yard. I made great use of Adonov's unusable boards. The good ones were used for the aviary floor, and the unusable ones went to the very bottom of the warm garden bed. They will block cold from rising from deep underground and act as coarse organic matter. Half-rotten firewood from the bottom of the woodshed is also used as coarse organic material. Bark works great, and you can use mulch from pruning shrubs and trees. Everything is covered with the extracted soil. Next, we add less coarse organic matter from the top of the composter, cover it with soil, and water generously. Then we use the middle and bottom contents of the composter, which are fine organic matter and pure humus. Don't be overzealous when gardening. If you don't finish in a day, it's okay. There's always tomorrow. I try to gradually change some remnants of the Soviet past when tiredness was considered the measure of work. On the contrary, it's worth adopting the good things from the Soviet Union. And you can spend the evening by cooking something really delicious. For example, bulbanaya, kishka, that's what we call potato sausages here. We mix the soil from the garden bed in the reverse order of how it was removed. That is, we put the sod back on top. This prevents the harmful exchange of bacteria between the lower and upper soil layers, which is detrimental to natural organic farming. The moles tried to come back, but the occupiers quickly pushed them out. By fighting, I provoked the annexation, expanding the mice's control from the shed to the garden. We're undecided if it's worth fighting the mice in the garden. Ava recommends that everyone live in peace and harmony despite growing hostility between peoples due to shady politicians and oligarchs. We should at least be friends with animals. I give them food and they give me friendship and service. Even though there's still some work left to do in the garden. I have to let my wife help with planting the seedlings because I couldn't stand the criticism about how long I take to get started and as a result missing the deadlines. The seedlings are in place and I continue. To get the best results, plane the boards or use an angle grinder, often called a bulgarka, with a flat disc as I do. You can also coat them with a protective antiseptic compound. Today, there are plenty of options available. I shared a video of my first garden bed on a social media platform with a creative audience. Back then, the post caused a huge response. Many predicted that the garden beds wouldn't last 6 months without using concrete and reinforcement. But the first ones are entering their 4th season, and the armchair critics were wrong. The bottom row of bricks is held by the soil. The top is held by soil and a board, so it can't fall apart. Concrete and mortar aren't used, so nothing can crack. The old beds, bordered with boards, are falling apart. I suggested to my wife that we replace the boards, but she said, no, look for bricks. I now regret declining my neighbor's offer of 500 free bricks 10 years ago after he finished his construction. My father-in-law instilled in us a love for organic garden beds. Seeing my rationalization, he even decided to sacrifice the old cellar of his country house for the sake of bricks. Well, that's right, why have a cellar if there's little harvest? I fasten it from the outside with self-tapping screws, and inside I use brackets for assembling sliding wardrobes. The previous garden beds were longer, so I made several central ties from rebar cuttings with welded nuts. I'll try this garden bed without them. That's how garden beds are, not pies. So give me a big thumbs up. Share this information widely, subscribe to my channel, also hit the bell, and then I'll definitely keep you informed. Thank you!